Well, hello, everybody.
Did talk to Brandon, right? So he's all set?
I will not, just somebody came back.
Okay. Here, want me to hold that for you?
Yes.
Carolyn's in the ladies' room.
It's going to take a while for people.
Is anyone actually in the overflow room? No. But you'll make sure that it's streaming there at some point. Right? Yeah.
Okay, all right, great. Thank you. And then if you need picks apart, you're going to bar upstairs on the side. Yeah, and then you're on the first floor too. Okay, got it. Okay.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Black History Museum and Cultural Center of Virginia. It's our exciting event tonight. I hope that you're enjoying the games and the engagement activities, especially Plinko, and I hope you had a chance to play and meet Joyce. We are going to start our program in just 3 minutes. So if you are playing your games or enjoying the fabulous food from Kitchen Magician, please make your way to the auditorium. If you're in the overflow room, you can come on down to the auditorium. We've got plenty of seats. Thank you so much for attending. We'll start our program and hear from our wonderful panelists in just a few minutes. Please make your way down. The program will begin shortly. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Do you see it? You see it? Check 1 2. You see it now? You got it? Good. Thank you.
I left my official signs back at the hotel, but I will wave and flag it.
How much time?
Up to 10 minutes. Yep. Yeah. Now wait.
Yeah, wait, getting close, so I can stop, I can go on here.
Make sure that Carolyn's on the way. Just
There you go. No problem. We got you. There we go.
I think it's around me more being nervous.
I'm sure they, absolutely. Now, does anybody need anything up here? You're all good?
I'm good. Yeah.
just a second.
I
Is that okay? Thank you so much. I got you.
Sorry, I can't do steps, but I got a bit too. I didn't know you were one of mine.
Mike, just for 2 seconds.
All right. Congratulations.
Well, you can't worry about the hair.
I've been looking at the stuff in my Oh, wonderful. I'm just amazed. In my community, how many people don't understand the benefits to which they're entitled. And I've been talking in the churches. I gotta figure out how to reach them. And then I'm worried about all the African American young men.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, we're going to get started. Can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me in the back? All right, thank you. We're going to get started with our featured program tonight. My name is Shakia Gillette Warren. I am the Executive Director here at the Black History Museum and Cultural Center of Virginia. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to our space. So welcome, Mayor Stoney. We are so glad that you could join us this evening, and welcome to the national team and membership body of AARP. Now, I know the evening is packed with things to do, including a panel discussion, games, and lots of resources and information is available, so I will keep my welcome brief so I don't keep you all from the fun. I couldn't let this opportunity pass by first saying thank you. Thank you for choosing BHMVA for AARP's Social Security Here Today, Here Tomorrow program. And I do want to add, in my former life, I worked at the Social Security Administration. I worked in disability. So this is a very pertinent discussion, and it's timely, and it's something that we need to discuss even more. So I appreciate all of you for being here and participating in this discussion. You certainly could have selected any venue for your event. We are pleased and honored that you chose our house to host your gathering. Your presence here is a testament to your recognition that the Black History Museum and Cultural Center of Virginia is meaningful and relevant to the fabric of our community. Here at BHMVA, we often say we preserve the stories that inspire. We do this by developing and providing educational resources, services, and opportunities that promote and advance understanding of the history and culture of Black people and African Americans in the Commonwealth. Through our exhibitions, programs, and cultural events, we tell the stories of Virginia's Black history as a part of inclusive history of America and the world. Hosting programs such as this not only allows us to offer our facility as an event venue, it allows guests and participants to experience all we have to offer as we strive to fulfill our mission. How neat is that, to combine learning and fun all in one space? As you enjoy your event this evening, I hope you all have an opportunity to visit our featured exhibition upstairs, which is titled The Art of Freedom 2. It's a reflective look at the concept of freedom through the lens of the artists that are focused on in the exhibition. So please, if you haven't had an opportunity, please go upstairs and explore the exhibition. And if you are a member, we thank you for your support and encourage you to make full use of your membership. If you aren't a member, what are you waiting for? We hope that you do consider to join our membership body and help us to fulfill our mission. So once again, I want to welcome you all to BHMVA and thank you for choosing us, and enjoy your evening.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. My name is Max Richmond. I'm the president and CEO of the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare. Thank you for coming. Now, this is not on the program, but since I didn't eat today until a few minutes ago, I want to thank the Kitchen Magician Catering for feeding me and for feeding everybody else. Did a great job. So this is the first of 5 town hall meetings we're holding around the country, being sponsored by AARP. And it's the first of a series that are titled Social Security, Here Today, Here Tomorrow. It's a campaign. We're trying to help people more fully understand the value of Social Security and to dispel some of the myths that are out there, and I'm sure you've heard them for years. Our organization, the Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare, was founded 40 years ago by a former congressman by the name of James Roosevelt. And he founded the organization in the early 80s because he was worried about what was happening with Social Security. He wanted to preserve what he felt was his father's greatest legacy. His father was Franklin Roosevelt. That legacy was Social Security. And we've been working on that issue in addition to President Lyndon Johnson's 3 of his greatest achievements, Medicaid, Older Americans Act, and the Medicare program. So I'm very pleased to be here, and this is the inaugural event. And before we get started, I wanted to ask the mayor to come up, your mayor. And Mr. Mayor, you and I met in the governor's mansion a number of years ago. You were in the cabinet of Governor McAuliffe. I'm glad to see you again, and good luck to you.
Thank you so much. Give another round of applause for Max real quick. And doesn't it feel good to be in the Black History Museum as well? This is a cultural gem here, not just for the city of Richmond, but also for the metro Richmond area, because I know we got some folks from Petersburg. We got some folks from the Tri-Cities. We got some folks from Chesterfield. We got some Henrico folks up in here. But we got some Richmonders in here as well. So this is an important asset for all of us. Folks, I'm here tonight to kick you all off, but also to give my full support of these town halls happening, because I would not be here today if it wasn't for Social Security. And you're like, how could a 42-year-old man tell you he would not be here today if it wasn't for Social Security? Well, some of you all know this. I was raised by my grandmother. And I tell folks every time that my grandmother saved my life. But indirectly, it was Social Security that saved my life, because it was her monthly check as a widow and being disabled that put food on the table and kept a roof over my family's head. It kept me and my brother clothed. It got me through high school. And it allowed me to be the first in my family to graduate from high school, to go to college and graduate from college.
All right.
Now, here's the thing. It seems that every cycle that we have to have this discussion about Social Security, because it's always someone thinking about tinkering with it, reforming it. But they don't recognize on the other side of this, there's real people with real stories. And my grandmother was one of those stories of one of those people. Here's the thing. Social Security is your money. Y'all paid into this. Your money. And so it's been your lifetime of work that's allowed for us to have this program. And here's the thing. Unlike, people believe in rugged individualism, Social Security is not just about an individual. It's about all of us, knowing that when we pay into this, not only we're going to protect us in the future, but to protect those who come behind us as well. To me, that is the fundamentals of this democracy. That's the fundamentals of America, that we just not look out for ourselves, that we look out for others as well. And so it has played an important role in my life. And I know that there are a number of residents, not just here in the Richmond area, but in Virginia, 1 in 5 Virginians receive Social Security benefits. 20% of Virginians receive Social Security benefits. And then when you think about the Black community as well, Black individuals rely more on Social Security than other demographics. And my grandmother's story is a great example of that. It truly was our lifeline. People talk about safety nets. Well, it was more than a safety net for us. It was a lifeline. Did we at times struggle to get to the end of the month looking for the first? Yes. But did it keep me fed for most of the month? Yes, it did. And no, I know without a doubt it's doing the same for those who are in this room, but also those around the Commonwealth and right here in the Richmond metro area as well. So I want to thank Max and the team for your continued fight to preserve Social Security and preserve this lifeline to ensure that not just those who receive the benefits today, but those who will receive the benefits tomorrow can benefit from this as well. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, Mr. Mayor, before you leave, after listening to you, I'm going to suggest that we bring you to the meeting we're doing in Philadelphia, the one we're doing in Lansing, Michigan, the one in Milwaukee, and the one in Las Vegas.
Okay.
All right.
Looks like I got a travel plan. Okay.
Thank
Have
you.
a good evening, y'all.
Thank you. Wow, that was great. So now I'd like to turn it over to our moderator. We are very lucky, and I really mean this, to have tonight's conversation led by a Richmond institution. I'm told you're a Richmond institution. Reba Hollingsworth is an award-winning anchor for WTVR, CBS 6. She co-hosts, as you all know, CBS 6 this morning. And to have someone of your stature, a trusted voice in this community, moderate this panel is an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Max. Thank you all for having me. How are you doing? You enjoying yourself so far? Yes, this is a good crowd. Well, I am just so honored to be here in this moment, in this space, the Black History Museum, and just to be a part of this conversation. As the mayor, I ran into him earlier. He said, "You're up past your bedtime." And I am. I go to bed early. But this is so worthy and just a great conversation to have in our community. And we really hope that you leave here tonight being a bit more informed about Social Security and how it affects you and your family. So I want to kick things off with our panel. We have a distinguished panel here today. So I want to introduce our panelists, and then we're going to have a Q&A. And you already met Max. Max Richmond is the president and CEO of the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare. And sitting next to Max is Carolyn Colvin. Ms. Colvin served as the acting commissioner of Social Security during the Obama administration. And we also have the final panelist, Brandon Byerson, a local financial advisor. We're going to kick it off with Max.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Reba. So in a few minutes, you're going to hear about the value of the Social Security program, particularly in communities of color, from Carolyn Colvin. Carolyn knows what she's talking about. She ran the Social Security Administration for President Obama. And then I'm going to turn it over to Brandon. Before I do that, my role today, I call it a myth buster. I'm going to talk about some of the myths that you have been hearing for years, for decades, about Social Security. And as the myth buster, I'm going to try to dispel some of those myths, and then Carolyn will continue talking about the value of the program. Why is this important that we dispel these myths? Despite the fact that Social Security has overwhelming support among the vast majority of Americans, Democrats, Republicans, independents, over 85% support the program, and not only support the program, but think it should be expanded. The benefits should be improved in a number of ways. But the myths about Social Security that I'm going to run through quickly, I think they have undermined to a large extent the confidence that people have in Social Security. So I'm just going to go through those very quickly, and I want to bring you into the conversation. So I'm going to ask you if you've heard of any of these myths. Have you heard that Social Security is broke? Have you heard that? Raise your hand. You heard it's broke. A lot of you. That's not true. Social Security is not true. It's not broke. Social Security has a reserve right now of about $3 trillion. Social Security has a long-range solvency issue. And in about 11 years, and this is not me, Max Richmond, or Carolyn Colvin saying, it's the trustees of Social Security issue a report once a year. In about 11 years, there won't be enough money from the trust fund to pay everybody their benefits. There'll be a shortfall of about 80%. That has to be fixed, right? It has to be fixed. And I think the Congress and whoever's in the White House will fix that. But that's a very different proposition than saying that's broke. It's bankrupt. There's no money there. That gives people the idea that the program isn't worth saving. And that just isn't true. So the other myth that I hear a lot is there's no money in Social Security. It's just a bunch of worthless IOUs. Have you heard that? Yeah. Worthless IOUs. These are not worthless IOUs that the government invests in Social Security treasury bills, not worthless IOUs. And that money earns interest. So, I tried to explain this at a town hall meeting once. And at that point, Carolyn, I think you were the administrator of Social Security, the commissioner. It was about $2.5 trillion in the Social Security Trust Fund. And someone said, well, there's no money there. You would not want $2.5 trillion, I said at the time to a town hall meeting, under your mattress. You wanted to earn interest. And the man in the back said, yes, I would want it under my mattress. But that doesn't work that way. This Social Security program is the soundest investment, the safest investment, doesn't earn the biggest interest, the largest amount of interest, but it's the safest investment because it's invested in government bonds and treasury bills. And you know, you've heard the government is stealing Social Security, is raiding Social Security. That is not true. The government borrows this money and pays it back with interest. Here's one way to look at it that I think is very, very clarifying. In the beginning of the pandemic, we had such high unemployment, not enough money was coming in payroll taxes to pay everybody their full benefits. But guess what? Everybody got their benefits, right? Everybody got the benefits that they were expecting in full on time. Why? Because the Social Security Trust Fund existed and it made up the difference. And even at that time, the trust fund grew in size because the interest that is paid on those bonds. So the program, it's real money, it's safe money, and it preserves the program for retirees. Now, I just expand on that. It's not just retirees, it's not just older people that, and you heard the mayor talk about this. A third of Social Security benefits go to non-retired workers, children, spouses, disabled. If you are, and I hope, you know, there aren't a lot of younger people here today, but I hope you'll convey this. If you are a 27-year-old worker with a spouse and 2 children, you have right now, never mind what happens when you retire, you have right now almost $2 million in value in life and disability insurance. It's there for you. Dan tells me I've only got a few minutes left, but it's there for you. And a lot of younger people don't know that. The two other points I'll make quickly. You often hear discussion in Washington and around the country about entitlement reform, right? Social Security is not an entitlement. And the mayor said it better than I've heard in a long time. It's an earned benefit, right? You pay in every paycheck, you pay your payroll tax. And it is an earned benefit. It's not an entitlement. An entitlement is welfare. An entitlement, the benefits are based on your means. They're means tested. That's not the case with Social Security. And we do not want Social Security to be transformed into an entitlement program. Have you ever met anybody that welfare is an entitlement program? Have you ever met anybody who would be proud to be on welfare? No. And I bet you have never met anybody, I haven't, who's ashamed to be on Social Security because it's an earned benefit. It's a very important concept to keep in mind. How many of you have heard that part of the problem with our deficit, our debt, our Social Security is illegal, undocumented workers collecting Social Security? Not true. You raise your hand, it's not true. Here's the fact. Here's the fact. A lot of undocumented workers are able to get a Social Security card to work. They pay into Social Security, but they're not able to collect benefits. They're not able to collect benefits. And in fact, a report done by the Social Security, I think it was the actuaries a few years ago, showed that there's a net benefit to Social Security by undocumented workers because they pay in, but they're unable to collect. So that's a phony argument, and don't believe that. And the last thing I wanted to say is if you are a young person, and I mentioned this earlier, keep in mind that these benefits are there for you going forward. And we all have a stake in it, not just retirees, not just seniors, but younger people as well. Finally, I've heard this over and over again. I'm sure you have, Carolyn. especially on Capitol Hill. Members of Congress don't participate in Social Security. Not true. Not true. Since for the last 40 years, all members of Congress pay into Social Security. They get benefits when they're eligible. So that is a summary of some of the misconceptions, the myths. And again, it's important, and we'll do this around the country to help people understand what is a fact about Social Security and what are the myths, so that we will not lose the confidence of the American people in the value of this program. Thank you very much.
Carolyn?
Good evening. I want to certainly thank AARP and Max's organization, the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare, for convening this session. I retired from Social Security in 2017, and I spent most of my retirement talking to people to help them get benefits to which they're entitled that they are not collecting. So I hope that one of the things that you will do when you leave here is identify 4 or 5 people and ensure that they know about Social Security and that they're getting the benefits to which they're entitled. When you are born, you become the beneficiary of Social Security should your parent become disabled or experience a premature death. And Social Security is more than a retirement program. It is an insurance protection for you for the various experiences that you have in life, whether it's when you have a child, knowing that that child will be covered if something happens to you, when you are divorced, that if your spouse remarries, it does not impact your benefit. And of course, when you die, your children will receive that benefit, assuming they are still independent or dependent on you. But I'm very pleased to be able to talk about the real value and importance of Social Security to African Americans and other communities of color, because I find that because of the disparity in wages where Blacks tend to work in low-wage jobs. They often are not able to save to complement Social Security. You know, Social Security was never intended to be your sole source of income. It was expected that it would be complemented by savings and by pensions. But many of the jobs that Blacks are employed in do not offer pensions anymore, and the wages are low. So for many in our community, Social Security is the sole source of income, and it takes many people out of poverty. Without that, they would not have it. And you know that Social Security's benefit is modest, so it still is not enough to really live on. So we encourage people to try to plan for that. One of the things that I was recently dealing with was an individual who was having to choose between eating and getting medication. And I asked if she was getting her husband's benefit, and she said, no, after all these years, he divorced me and married someone else. I said, but you're still entitled. And so now she's getting $400 additional each month. So people need to know that. It is really an important source of income for groups with low earnings and less opportunity to save and earn pensions. The fact that Social Security is a progressive plan, and that means that if your income is lower, you still tend to get a higher percentage of your earnings toward your Social Security when you retire. And that's a big benefit, because if you have high income, you're often able to save more. So even though you have a low income, you still get a higher percentage of your earnings. Black workers have a much higher rate of disability because of the inequities in the healthcare system, because of the housing affordability issues, et cetera. And so it's important. Many young people don't think they're going to ever become disabled. But if you look at the rates, you will see that there's a high rate of disability in the Black community and in the communities of color. You will also see that you have individuals in the African American community whose sole source of retirement is Social Security, and it's just not adequate. So we try to make sure that we get that word out. With a high rate of death in the African American community, you know that individuals are going to be in need of that benefit. So if they experience a premature death, their spouse and their children will in fact receive a benefit. One of the concerns I have is that you have many parents who are single and are not married. And as I go to the churches and I talk to others, I try to remind them that they do not need to be married to that individual for their child to receive that benefit. But many children in the African American community do not get the benefit because the parent thinks that they need to be married and the relative does not apply. So I've been trying to get that message out. So if you know young people and you don't feel like you're invading their privacy, try to find out if they in fact are the recipient and getting the benefit to which they're entitled. There is so much misinformation out there that we've tried to get it. The other challenge is many people don't understand the benefit for the spouse. You have to be married 10 years in order to get the benefit, but you do not have to worry about whether or not that person remarries. It does not reduce the benefit to which you're entitled. And so you need to know that. When I was working for Social Security, I was told I did something I shouldn't have done, but I would probably do it again. Young woman came to me and she'd been married for 9 years and she was going to divorce her husband. I said, sweetheart, don't do that. Go to the hotel. Go to the hotel for another year. You've earned that benefit. And, you know, we don't know if you're going to last longer than he does, but if you do, you have that benefit. So I just want to say that I hope that in addition to learning about Social Security for yourself, that you will go into your communities and try to ensure that people out there understand what the benefits are and are taking advantage of it. I see that my time is up, but maybe other things will come up from your questions and I'll be happy to answer those.
All right, Brandon.
Good evening. How are y'all doing? Okay, we got some responses back. Okay, everybody not asleep. Okay, so just for me, from a financial planning perspective, I think the worst thing that we could do in this room today, so we all have some responsibility, is go home, go to our loved ones, and not say anything. It's our duty for us to be able to get to where we want to be as a community. We have to share information, right? And sometimes I know we can be hard-headed. I'm speaking for my generation a little bit, but I know we can be hard-headed at times, most times. But I want y'all to know we do hear you all. And I don't want you all to feel like it's falling on deaf ears. It's really, you're planting seeds. Because even though we may not come back and tell y'all, oh yeah, you were right when you said this, this, and that. A mama knows. A daddy knows, right? And so for me, for my 10 years of doing financial planning in this community, being from this area, is that we're keeping things a secret, but everybody has the same questions. And I don't know if we are trying to one up each other or get ahead or be the leader, but it's better if we go forward together. And so what I say, and I know some of those myth busters were said out loud, what I hear a lot of is that, yeah, Social Security isn't going to be here for my age and my generation. I'm glad Max said that. We pay into it, we earned it, right? And I think that the communication, and I believe the communication that we will have between generations on, let's just say, this topic of Social Security, understanding how it works, understanding the situation that you're in and how it can work for different situations, is only going to make us better, right? And so I'm not going to take up a whole bunch of time. I know I got some questions. I see some people moving in their chairs, but definitely have that conversation. Take it seriously and have that conversation with the people that you love, because the last thing we want to do is think, what if? And that's what I say.
Well, we definitely want to have the panel answer your questions. I don't know if you played the activity upstairs, the listening post, the one with the pennies. How many of you played that one? So it asked you 4 different questions, and there were 2 winners. And the first question was, will Social Security be around for me? Which one of you want to take that one?
For me, what did they say for me?
Will Social Security be around for me? So you.
For me?
Yes. Or to them.
to them, if it's there for me, I will assume that it's there for most of the people that are coming before me. And as we said before, as Max has said, that amount is going to be, I said, if it's going to be there for me, I assume that it's going to be there for most of the people in this room. And as Max has said before, it's an earned benefit. So if you're working, you see it come out of your check every 2 weeks, or once a month, or however often you get paid, then you've earned that benefit. Now it's time for you to go in there and collect.
Max, did you want to answer that too?
The only way Social Security will not exist well into the future is if we have 100% unemployment and nobody is working. Because that's obviously, sorry. The only way Social Security doesn't exist well into the future is if we have 100% unemployment and nobody is working and nobody's paying payroll taxes. That's obviously not going to happen. The question is, will there be full benefits after 11 or 12 years? That's what we have to focus on, that shortfall, that gap. And again, that is very different than saying the program is bankrupt, there's nothing there. That's a whole different proposition. So, and I think it can be fixed. The last time the Congress and the White House addressed a shortfall of Social Security, they had 6 months back in the early 80s, the Greenspan Commission, before the program would run out of money and not be able to pay benefits. And they fixed it. And it can be done again.
They will fix it again.
They can fix it again.
So if you were sitting in your chair and there was like the 3x5 card where you can answer, get your question answered, just hold it up and someone will come around and pick it up from you and we'll get your question answered. So from that activity upstairs, again, the listening post, the next winner that's people wanted answer, will Social Security payments be able to keep up with inflation?
There is a COLA that individuals receive each year, and that is based on the level of inflation. Last year, it was very high. This year, we don't expect it to, next year to be as high. Max, you probably have the exact figure, but.
Well, we don't know what it's going to be for next year, but in the last 2 years, the COLA, and if you're on Social Security, you probably had a big smile on your face because it was a large COLA. But the problem with the COLA is it doesn't accurately measure inflation as it affects an older person. So out of the last, yes, you had a great COLA last year and the year before, but 3 out of the last 12 years, the COLA was zero. The government said you had no inflation that year. And I know that you don't believe that, and that is not accurate. And the reason it was zero, and these large amounts the last 2 years, they don't even make up with those 3 0 years, or those years you got 1 or 2%. The way the COLA is computed, the Department of, it's the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Department of Labor measures inflation from the third quarter of one year to the third quarter of the next year. And they measure it based on what inflation is doing to a working person, a wage earner. So they look at that market basket of goods and services that a wage earner relies on. The problem is retirees are not wage earners. They have different expenses. And in order to have a fair and accurate COLA, and there are bills in the Congress that we support that would do this, it's called the Consumer Price Index for the Elderly. It would look at those things like healthcare costs, like prescription drug costs, and put the accurate and appropriate amount of weight on those goods and services that seniors rely on, and the change in cost from 1 year to the year. That would fix the COLA and make the COLA not just good for 1 or 2 years, but over time.
Okay. Well, another question from upstairs, asking for a friend on this one. What age can I start collecting benefits?
I think that's a personal decision. If you take it at an early age, 62, which is allowed, you're going to have a significant decrease, about 30%. If you wait until your full retirement age, then there is no reduction. Again, minorities tend to have a lower life expectancy, so a greater majority of Blacks And people of color tend to take it at 62 because they don't expect that they're going to live long enough, but it's a very personal decision. I think you should sit down with someone from Social Security or go to mysocialsecurity.gov and calculate what you would get when you were 62 and what you would get if you wait until you're 67 or full retirement age, and then make a decision based on that. If you're still working, you may want to wait until you're 70, particularly if you have a long line or life expectancy. So it's an individual decision that's different for each person.
And the longer you decide to delay taking Social Security, the more the benefit is going to be monthly.
And here's a question for Brandon. Given many employers are not offering pensions, personal savings, and any other options, Medicare coverage for dental and or vision is currently not covered. Any plans to cover this under Social Security?
So under Social Security, I don't see any programs for that unless.
There are no existing ones that I'm aware of.
You mentioned what, hearing?
Hearing, dental.
Medicare,
Yeah.
dental, vision.
The biggest gaps in Medicare, I think, are the lack of coverage for vision, dental, and hearing. They're so important. And we came very close in the last Congress to getting some coverage for hearing. And that would be a big step, but it did not make it. We've been working, our organization has been working on expanding Medicare coverage to include all of those, vision, dental, and hearing. And if you need any help like that, you know how important it is to have that protection. It's not in Medicare now, it should be.
Another question. Are there active laws that are pushing the age back to 67 or to 70 by 2030? The COLA increase will decrease because of our population. Is that true?
Can you say that again?
Was this your question? Whose question? You want to explain that question? I hand you the mic.
Well, I don't know. It's probably one of the myths that I've heard because of the overpopulation right now. By 2030, that there will not be the Medicaid.
There's no decision.
Social Security.
No, there's no decision that there will not be Social Security. As Max indicated, as long as people are working, there will be Social Security because they pay a FICA tax, which is the money that goes towards Social Security
Now,
coverage.
part of I think what you were getting at, there are plans that are out there in the Congress, proposals that would raise the age of Social Security. I think you asked about that, to 67. I have heard people talk about raising it to 70. And sarcastically, I have said, well, raise it to 100 or 110. Then you won't have a funding problem. Obviously, that's ridiculous, right? But the Freedom Caucus, which is the majority of the Republicans in the House of Representatives, have in their plan raising the age to 67. Now, what's the logic there? People are living longer. That does not mean people can work longer. Does not mean there are jobs for all these people that are living longer. It is very hard for an older person to find employment, decent employment. So just the fact that people are living longer does not justify raising the age for getting benefits. Where are the jobs? And some of the people that come up with these proposals, they have not worked in a factory. They have not worked in agriculture. They've not climbed telephone poles. You can't keep doing that until you're 66, 67, 70. So, and the last thing I want to say is anybody that talks about raising the age, they're talking about cutting your benefit. If you have to wait longer to start getting your benefit, the time that you get that benefit, you will have less in benefit funds during that period. So you'll hear a lot of people say, I've met so many people, all kinds of people. I tell them what I do, and they say, I'm for that. I'm for Social Security. I'm for Medicare. And I say, well, are you for raising the age to get these benefits? Yeah, I'm for that. If you're for that, you're not for these programs, in my opinion. If you're for cutting the COLA, you're not for these programs. So that's
But
that's
those
the end
are
of my speech.
proposals, that is not an existing law.
Right.
Yes.
So another question, if you've been self-employed for 11 years, how is your Social Security calculated?
It would be calculated the same. It simply means that instead of you paying 6.5%, because you're self-employed, you're paying the full amount. Because right now, if you're working for someone else, the employer pays 1/2, and then you pay 1/2. So if you're working for yourself, you pay the full 13%, whatever, 12%.
I pay the whole thing.
6.5%. Yeah.
Another question, are Social Security funds protected from being used for other than Social Security distribution?
Well, yes, I've talked about that in my comments. They are invested in government bonds. So, you will hear people say, well, they're being used for something else. That money that is derived from the Social Security program is spent on other programs, but it has to be repaid. And it always, these government bonds, they're treasury bonds, they're rolled over very regularly. Brandon probably knows how this works better than I do, but these treasury bonds are rolled over, they get interest. That interest goes back into the Social Security program. So the only thing that the money and the interest eventually can be used for is to pay benefits.
And I think we had this question, but I think it's worth probably mentioning again. If you continue to work once you are eligible for Social Security and you pay into Social Security, does your benefit increase?
If you continue to work, does it increase? Yes, because it's based on the highest amount of money that you make over a 35-year period. In fact, if you don't claim,
You have your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, because they count your highest income for the 35 years and they spread that out. So the longer you work, the higher your benefit is going to be. In fact, if you reach 70 and you don't claim, you get an 8% increase for each year that you have not claimed. If I'd known I was going to work as long as I was, I wouldn't have taken Social Security early. Not early, but I mean at full retirement. But you don't know. And so I was called out of retirement before I began to collect my Social Security. So I went on back.
Another question, can you
Question was if you're continuing to work, wasn't my question. If you're continuing to work, will your Social Security go up? Well,
Yes, I said as long as you work, it continues to go up. The amount that you're entitled to will continue to go up because it'll be based on your highest years. Now, if you are collecting Social Security, then you're going to get penalized because you can only, if you get it early, because you can only get a certain amount at early retirement. When you reach full retirement, you are not penalized. Do they get additional once they reach 70? I don't think so.
No, not additional, but
No.
once you reach that age, you are not penalized. It was called the earnings limit. It was a law that changed back in I think in 98 or 99, where you can continue to work and collect your Social Security, but your benefit is not reduced.
No, his question is if he keeps working, will the amount of Social Security that he gets continue to go up? And I'm saying no.
Well, while you're up until a certain age.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope I agree. Go ahead.
You said when you collected at 40, you can't get it at 40.
No, she said she collects full benefit at 70, and she works part-time. Will she
Right.
be penalized?
No, you were right.
And she's working part-time.
So can you collect Social Security if you continue to work, whether it's full-time, part-time? Can you collect Social Security?
Yes.
Well, she wants to know, let's say she's getting $1,500 a month in Social Security and she's working. She wants to know, will that $1,500 go up? And I'm saying, no,
That's right.
it'll stay the same.
So all that new work that she's doing and putting into Social Security, nothing comes out of that. So like if I retire today and I'm done and I get my Social Security, and I make another 50,000 next year cutting grass, paying taxes and paying Social Security, then I never see that Social Security back in 5 years? So why am I working again? Do you see what she's asking? Or do you get Social Security based on all the work you ever do in your lifetime? That's not my question.
But it's still a good question.
You,
So,
well, let me just, to your question there, you get benefits based on the time that you worked in employment that was covered by Social Security and those years that you paid in. If you are employed and that you are not paying into Social Security, those years would not be included, okay?
That's not the question she's asking.
so she's,
Her question, I understand, but I'm not sure the answer. Your question is, if you're getting $1,500 a month from your Social Security and you decide to go back to work, will you then get more than $1,500 based on your new earnings? And I'm not sure the answer to that. I thought it was no, but I'm not sure.
So,
What you just said is based on the highest 35 years. If she does not
Part-time,
have 35 years or 30 years, whatever the calculation is based on, that $1,500 that she makes in retirement would replace one of those zero years, which would increase her benefit.
As I said, I'm sorry, I should know that
Because-
answer, but I don't.
I've worked full-time and get Social Security. And the earnings that you have is adjusted annually based on what I get.
So you do get higher based on.
Right, you get it for the income.
That's what you wanted to know, and I did not know the answer to that.
You get a certain amount, I'm like, I'll be have to pay taxes on the Social Security. You know,
Okay.
Yeah, but I've worked full-time and received Social Security.
Okay, so the answer is she is getting an adjustment each year for the additional income that she's receiving. I did not know the answer to that.
all right, we had a lot of good questions, and we want to continue this conversation. If you have questions upstairs, we have to wrap up the program. So thank you for being here, and if you have additional questions upstairs, we have some people from the National Committee AARP who will be upstairs to answer your questions. So thank you. Carl Hamner with AARP Virginia, if you want to come up and give us some closing remarks, we'll appreciate that. Give him a hand.
nah, huh? You might want to get your.
Well, good evening, everyone. This has been a great night. Can you help me thank our lovely panel tonight? Thank our moderator for the evening. Also, help me thank the Black History Museum staff. Also, help me thank our lovely volunteers who are positioned at the games. It's been a great night, an informative night, and all great nights end with great prizes, right? So if you guys completed 3 out of the 4 games, you checked your passport, you got 3 check marks. This is your moment. This is your time. All right, pull out those passports, and I'm going to call out some winning numbers, and we're giving away 10 $50 gift cards, all right? All right, you got your card, you got your tickets ready? I'm gonna give you about 30 seconds, 30 seconds. All right, 30 seconds. 10 $50 gift cards. All right, you ready? I'm just gonna call out the last 3 on the ticket. All right, I got them. I already got my winners. All right, We've got the last three on the ticket. You ready? 081. All right. Give a round of applause for our first winner for tonight. All right, the next winning ticket is 135. Right here in the front. All right, the next winning ticket, 079. Hey, I remember you. I told you where to go to get your last check. All right. The next winning ticket, 078. Right here in the front. There we go. There we go. All right, we're halfway through. The next winning ticket, 077. Hey, all right. The next winning ticket, 133. All right. Winning ticket number 7 is 070. Right here in the corner. There we go. All right. Chances are getting slim now, y'all. Chances are getting slim. The next winning ticket is 073. There we go, right there. All right, you got two more chances. The 9th winning ticket, 132. Is that anybody? Some valuable information. One more time, y'all. How many think I planned for tonight? How many think I planned for tonight? Listen, we have learned a lot tonight, but it's important for us to keep the conversation going, keeping this dialogue going. So when you go home, share what you've learned, share it in your communities so we can keep the conversation going. On behalf of AARP Virginia, I hope that you all have a good night. I hope that you get home safely. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Did you do that? Okay.